I want to just start by saying good afternoon and thank everyone for everybody and the work that you've been doing. I want to thank all of you who decided to join this webinar to learn more about the new round of federal SBA funds that are available for small businesses, nonprofits, and faith organizations. We know that there have been crises from the health side in terms of COVID-19, but also on the financial side as it relates to the impact of COVID-19 on our businesses and the economic fallout that's really hit a lot of small businesses, mid-sized businesses, and what that has done to our overall economy and to our community. And we know specifically that minority-owned businesses, and in particular Black-owned businesses, have experienced systemic barriers to capital. And those of women-owned businesses have also seen some of those challenges as well. So we want to make sure that we balance and not choose between the two. We want to try to balance those with our financial institutions, the SBA, and then our leaders that we have here in the city of Montgomery. And so I ask that we organize this webinar in particular for minority and women-owned businesses to receive expert information that often is beyond their grasp and often is beyond their business and personal network. And so, we want them to know what it takes to be eligible for this financial support and how they should apply as well. And I want to say for those who are not able to view this, but who may be just hearing part of this, I'm Stephen Reed. I'm the mayor of Montgomery, Alabama, and did not start with that introduction, but I'm really just a facilitator here. The experts are the people that you're about to hear from, and that's the great part about this. They know a lot more about it, so I'm just going to introduce them and get out of the way so we can make sure this goes smoothly and you get the information that is needed. Because we believe if our business community is strong, if our economy is strong, our community will be strong. We want our businesses to have high profits, and we want people to be able to achieve the American dream and restore the dignity of work to people, regardless of what ladder of income they may be trying to climb. We want that to be there, and we know part of that means getting those minority-owned businesses access to the information they need and helping particular businesses that are owned by Black and brown entrepreneurs and small business owners, information that's really hard for them to get, and really knocking down some of the challenges that women-owned businesses face as well. So with that said, I'm grateful for our speakers, and I'm going to go through a list before I turn it over to them to really take up the subject matter that we are here for today. First, we're fortunate and honored to have Thomas Dodd, the District Director for SBA Alabama. Second, we have Suzanne Darden, Business Advisor for SBA Capital Access Program at the University of Alabama. Next, we have Andrea Rogers Mosley, Director of Small Business Development Center at ASU, Alabama State University. And we have Mark Sneed, Market President for Synovus Bank, to provide a local financial institution perspective as well. And I know Mark has also asked Heather Jones to be joining us here as well. After they speak, we'll open it up for Q&A, and we'll make sure that, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat down below if you're watching this, and we'll answer those. And we also want to make sure that I recognize Anna Buckaloo, who's on the call, the President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, who has been a strong partner in our Recover Together Fund and our Recover Together efforts, and will share some final thoughts before we wrap it up. And so, Thomas, I'm going to turn it over to you to start, and then, I want each speaker to go ahead and begin after the previous speaker finishes their remarks. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to you, Thomas, and we'll get going, and we'll go from there. Your show.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the invitation to participate today. When you work for the federal government, you appreciate being invited anywhere. So I really do appreciate it. So thanks to your office and the Chamber and all of our SBA resource partners that are on the call today too, because they are a huge part of what we do. The Alabama District Office is one of 68 district offices that SBA operates around the country. And I say that because if folks that are on the call listening, if you have family, friends, or kinfolk in other states and they want to do a business, get a loan or whatever, then the same things that we'll talk about today are available to them in wherever they live. So we have a staff of 7 in the Alabama District Office. We cover all 67 counties. And largely what we do is we're kind of a cheerleader squad. We run around and encourage borrowers to borrow through SBA programs and through lender banks. We encourage lenders to make loans. We encourage small businesses to apply for government contracts. We encourage government contractors to hire small businesses. So we're kind of a cheerleading squad. And we have to magnify ourselves through our great network of resource partners that we have here today. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. Technology is not my friend. So if I crash this, I'm sorry. I've been thrown out of a lot of Zoom rooms since this started. So this is just going to be kind of, for us, an overview, because I think the other folks on the call will do more detailed. This is kind of the overview. And what has happened is that our agency has provided guidance, typically not as quickly as anybody would like, but it does come out. It does have to be compliant with what Congress wanted us to do. So it's kind of what we are. So I'll hit some of the highlights here, then move on from there, and then we can address specifics in the Q&A later. So kind of the agenda for my part of it is where we are with key dates. Many of those have already passed. A few new wrinkles this time. It seems like every time we roll one of these out, there are a few new wrinkles. First draw, I call them P3 loans because it's so hard for me to say Paycheck Protection Program. So I'll call them P3. And for the economic injury disaster loans, I call those IDLs. So P3 and IDLE, that's what I'm talking about. So first draw P3, second draw P3, forgiveness updates, and what to do now with additional resources. The Economic Recovery Act was basically to refund the P3 program to help give relief to small businesses everywhere. And because we discovered in the first go around that underserved communities and socioeconomically a lot of disadvantaged businesses did not get up to the plate, as it were, this time SBA kind of phased the rollout so that initially only mission lenders, that is community financial institutions, could access the loans. And then the loan portal is now fully open to everybody, but initially that was restricted. On January 11th, it opened for the first draw loan from community financial institutions, which include community development financial institutions, which is a treasury program, minority depository institutions, which is a Federal Reserve and a treasury program, certified development companies, and microloan intermediaries, which are SBA programs. So on January 13th, we opened for the second draw P3 loan applications from the CFIs. January 15th, we opened for the first and second draw to lending institutions with $1 billion or less in assets, that is the smaller lenders. January 19th, just last week, we opened first and second to all other participating lending institutions. And the P3 loan, as you're aware, is a loan that's actually made by a lending institution and it's guaranteed by the SBA. So basically the loan decision is made by your lender. And all P3 applications have to be submitted no later than March 31 as of now. The first draw, P3, as the name implies, is for folks that did not get one last time before August 9th, 2020, which is when the window closed on that program the last time. We have expanded eligibility for different types of entities. There are more eligible expenses. Eligible expenses include payroll costs, rent, mortgage interest, utilities, operations expenditures, certain property damage costs, supplier costs, and worker protection expenditures. And you'll hear more about that from our other presenters today. Borrowers can now select a covered period anytime between 8 and 24 weeks after disbursement. And you can also request an increase to your original P3 loan that you got. Again, applications have to be submitted before March 31st or until congressional appropriations expire. Some of the things remain the same. Loan eligibility, you have to be small by SBA size standards. You have to be eligible for the other criteria, and there are certain limitations. Newly eligible entities include housing cooperatives, destination marketing organizations like tourism organizations, certain 501c6s such as chambers of commerce, and eligible news organizations. And still eligible is the list that you see there that was left over from last time, that was in effect last time. Business entities of all types, sole proprietors, 501c3 nonprofits, 501c19 veterans organizations, and tribal businesses. The second draw, P3 loan, as the name implies, is for somebody that did not have one last time. That previously got a P3, have 300 employees or fewer, and suffered a 25% reduction in gross receipts. And for most borrowers, the most you can borrow is up to 2.5 times the average monthly payroll cost that you're quoting, up to a maximum of $2 million. And because the accommodation and food services sector has been so hard hit by the pandemic, people have quit eating out, traveling, things like that. For businesses in accommodation and food services sector, that is North American Industrial Classification Code 72, the maximum loan amount for a second draw is 3.5 times the average monthly 2019 or 2020 payroll costs, up to $2 million. So for everybody else, it's 2.5 times. For accommodation and food services, it's 3.5 times, again, up to a max of $2 million. There are different applications this time because this is a second draw. If you're applying for this one, be sure to use the application form that has SD on it for second draw, because you want to minimize as much as possible anything that might cause it to get caught up in the system and get disapproved or kicked back for different things. Additionally, for second draw P3 loan eligibility, you have to have used all the proceeds of your first P3 loan only for eligible expenses before the lender can disperse proceeds from the second draw for you. And again, you have to have no more than 300 employees and demonstrate at least a 25% reduction in gross receipts between comparable quarters in 2019 and 2020. So whichever period of time you're claiming, it has to be comparable. So if you used quarter one the first go around, you have to use quarter one again, so it's apples and apples. On forgiveness, again, loan forgiveness is submitted through your lender because the lenders actually review it and the application for forgiveness, and they make the decision because they made the loan, and they tell SBA what their decision is. And under the updates under the Economic Aid Act, which is the newest one, the CARES Act was the first one, the Economic Aid Act is this one, idle advances are no longer deducted from the forgiveness payment. Forgiven P3 loans are not taxable income. Expenses paid with P3 loan funds are now tax deductible. You should talk to the IRS or to your tax preparer, your accountant, for details. Expanded forgivable expenses are permissible for any P3 loan not already forgiven. And coming soon, I have seen it. I don't know if it's been posted on the website or not, but there's a simplified forgiveness application for P3 loans of $150 under. So for now, for P3 first or second draw, contact your lender. If you don't have one, you can go to SBA's lender match, and that will hook you up with one. Or you can go to sba.gov/PPP for the most up-to-date documents. Talk to your, I would encourage you to talk to your resource partners. You can go to asbdc.org. That's asbdc.org for Alabama Small Business Development Center.org. Or you can call Andrea Mosley at Alabama State University. Or you can go to our website at alabama.districtoffice@sba.gov, and we will do our best. We don't know all the answers, but we can refer your question, if we can't answer it, to somebody up in the Office of Capital Access or the Office of Disaster Assistance who can assist you more directly. And I'll hush and give it over to, Suzanne. Go ahead, Suzanne.
Okay, thank you, Tom. This is Andrea, and I will be doing this together. Andrea, do you want to put our slides up and we'll quickly go?
We'll go ahead and do that just a second.
Okay. And as Tom mentioned, we are with the Alabama SBDC network. Andrea is the district office at Alabama State, and I am part of our statewide capital access program. A number of these slides Tom has already gone over, so I'm going to kind of skip through those. And then when we get to questions and answers, we will do some detailed answers to the questions that y'all have. Andrea, you want to go ahead with the next slide? We'll talk to them about our network.
All right. I'll just give a little information about who we are and what we do. And hold on for just a second. Let me just see if I can switch over here. Get this a more presentable screen. All right. So again, thank you, Mayor Reed, for your leadership and also for coordinating this event so that we can provide some very useful and helpful information to the small businesses. We're a proud partner with the City of Montgomery and the Chamber of Commerce in our Cover Together program. So the SBDC, I'll just tell you briefly about us and then move right out of, and so you can get some more information from Suzanne. But we're a statewide organization, part of an institutional program, and our mission is to provide technical assistance and management assistance to small businesses that are seeking to either start their business in a conception state, grow their business, and expand, exploring opportunities. The work, we do this through one-on-one advisement and also through training workshops. We're part of the network, it's 10 centers, so we cover the state of Alabama and all 67 counties through our 35+ advisors. We're at Alabama State University, Auburn University, Jackson State University, Troy, University of Alabama, Huntsville, University of North Alabama, South Alabama, and West Alabama. The things that we're able to offer you as a small businesses is our seasoned advisors. They can help you with analyzing your business and help you with developing strategies for growth, helping you develop business plans, financial analysis, marketing plans, things that you'll need to help strengthen and grow your business. What we've been focusing on right now, a lot of it is all of that, but also assisting you to navigate through this process of PPP, EIDLs, and all of these different types of loans and grants that are part of a COVID to help bring relief to the small businesses. And we're a partner, a resource partner with the SBA. So we work a lot with Tom, and as quick as they get the information regarding what Congress is passing down, they make sure that we give it so that we can be able to assist you a little bit further with your business. So I typed in the chat box also how you can find us, and also on the screen, there's information where you can find more updated as we get it on regarding the PPP loans. So if you go to our website at sbdc.org, you'll be able to find that information. This is where we're located across the state of Alabama and all of our centers. And then this is just the end of our slide. And I'm going to turn this over to get to what your questions, I'm sure, that you have about regarding the various COVID funding that's available for you. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Suzanne.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Okay, so this first slide, as Tom talked about, is the PPP First Draw is now available for any businesses that did not apply the first time this was available. There are some expanded expenses that can be used for. 60% still needs to be used for eligible payroll expenses, but the additional 40% can be used for these expanded expenses. Next slide. These are the expanded eligible PPP expenses. So a lot of our businesses had to use this money for PPE expenses, things that they had to do for their clients and also for their workers. That's now an eligible expense. Property damage. If you were in any of the areas that had property damage because of Any type of public disturbance or anything like that, that's now an eligible expense on the 40% side. Supplier expenditures and operational payments. So after you have spent 60% of the first draw, PPP or second draw, this 40% can be used for these expenses. All right, next slide. Again, Tom went through this. There are now some newly eligible entities that can go in and apply for the first draw PPP, and also the others. We've listed them here in case any of you are not sure. The first time the PPP came out, there was some conflicting information that was coming out, and some people didn't get a chance to actually apply the first time. So now they have that ability to apply for the first draw PPP. Next slide. All right, and then this is the PPP second draw. And the second draw, you have to have used or plan to use the first draw before applying. And I'll mention that because some people might have gotten the first draw, and let's say they got it for the 24-week period and they are going to pay it for the payroll that they're in now, but it'll be over, let's say, next Tuesday. Well, they can still go ahead and apply for the PPP second draw because they will have planned to use that first draw before they receive the money on the second draw. The other thing that's new about the second draw is that now you can use 2019 or 2020 payroll cost to determine your 2.5 times average, or if you're in the NAICS code, as Tom said, 72, the 3.5 time, up to 2 million. And the 25% reduction in gross receipts. One thing that we have been asked, and I want to bring up here, it does need to be 1 quarter of 2020 to the same quarter of 2019, but we've had a number of questions. What if it's 3 consecutive months, but they're not part of the same quarter? Well, then you'll have to go and see if your total 2020 is 25% less than your total 2019. This program does not allow you just to pick out any 3 months, but it does allow you to either compare quarter to quarter or the full year versus the full year. All right, and then if you have not been operating in the full year of 2019, there are provisions for you. Let's say you just started your business in the 4th quarter of 2019. You can then compare that quarter to any of the quarters in 2020, and we can get into more details. If a specific company has that, then we'll take that offline and talk to you directly. All right, and again, the deadline is March 31st, 2021 to apply for the PPP second draw, or if the money runs out first. At this point, we're not hearing anything about the money getting close to running out, so I think we should continue to use that March 31st deadline. All right, next slide. Required documentation, and this again is going to be up to the lender. You can use the same lender for the second draw that you use for the first draw, but some of our lenders are not participating in the second draw PPP, and so you could go to a new lender at that time. Bank statements, tax statements, financial statements. The Act does not require you to provide the documentation at the time of the loan application for that 25% reduction if your loan is $150,000 or less. However, most of our lenders are going to require it. And the reason why, they want to make sure that you're eligible on the front end of the application and not wait until the forgiveness side of it. So if your lender is asking for it, you need to provide it. Right. Next slide. Okay, and so the next few slides, and I won't go through each one of them, but there we have a copy of the application on here in case you want to take a look at it and then ask any questions afterwards. So Andrea, let's go through the next 3 slides just quickly. Next slide. Most, what I want you to see on these ones where you have to certify, where you have to answer, and in some cases, they're actually asking you to initial that. It's very important that any business owner read, and if they don't understand, ask us questions about what this means, because you are self-certifying, and if you are not truthful, and you're either audited or the SBA looks at your application and finds it to be not true, it is punishable by the full extent of the law. So It's very serious, even though it is self-certifying, that you make sure you understand and you answer truthfully each and every one of these questions. All right, next slide. And then again, this is where you self-certify and you sign it. There are many, many days when I'll have 10, 15, 20 clients that will call and talk to me about a specific question that they might have read. They're not sure how to certify it. That's what we're here for. Everything that we talk about with our clients, it is confidential. It is not something that we share with anyone else. We are here for our clients, and everything that we do with and for our clients is at no charge. So if you're not sure, let us know, okay? And we will walk you through it. Next slide. And then this is another one of the self-certifications of the demographic slide. And that is something that you can, it's optional, whether you want to answer these or not. All right, next slide. These are the additional items, again, that Tom was talking about. And same thing that he was saying, that forgiveness application for the PPP loans, 150,000 and under, is available. It's on the website. We do a Q&A, our capital access team, every Friday at 11 o'clock. So we go through some of the particulars of these applications and of these new programs as we get more details. So if we don't talk about it today, or we don't know the answers today, you're welcome to sign up for and listen to our webinars on Fridays at 11 a.m. Right, next slide. Additional items as far as the EIDL and the EIDL advance. The EIDL is open still. If you have not applied, you can go on and apply. That is at sba.gov. It is not through a lender. The EIDL advance is will reopen soon, but it is, the SBA will contact you if you are eligible for additional EIDL advance money. It is not something that you go and apply for again. They have all the information, and they're going through their information now to see who else might be eligible for more EIDL advance money. Next slide. There is an additional item. It is called the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant. It is an SBA program specifically tailored for those venue operators that were closed down and had losses of 90%, 75%, 25%. The application process has not opened yet. I'm giving a few of the details here, but as we get more information from the SBA, we will post that and we will talk about it on our Friday webinars. Next slide. And I think that's it. Again, we are the Alabama SBDC network. You can reach us through Andrea at Alabama State, or if there is something that you want to sign up for, either our newsletter or to be a client, you can go to our website and that information will be there. And I thank you again for having us on today, and I'll send it back to Andrea. Your turn.
Okay, so that is a wrap of the presentation that we have. And at this time, I think we're just ready for questions and answers that will shift back to who's ever leading the ship.
Sure. Well, thanks, everyone. This is Phil in the mayor's office, and actually Mark at Synovus will turn it over to you.
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you, Phil and Mayor Reed, for your leadership in putting this together. I think it's been informative for me so far, and I've been living in this world. And so, you know, I think all of our speakers, Suzanne, Tom, Andrea, have gone well into the specifics of the programs and have done a great job of letting everyone know what's needed, what qualifications are, and putting some paper in front of you on that. Really, the role, so I'm with Synovus Bank, and those that aren't familiar, we are a $54 billion asset size bank. We're in 5 states. We're in Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina. Here in Montgomery, in the River region, we've got 3 locations, one on Carmichael Road, one on Taylor Road, and then one in Prattville. on Cobb's Ford Road. So I just was going to kind of talk a little bit about first round compared to this second round, just from a Montgomery market specific perspective. We did almost $80 million in PPP loans here in Montgomery in the first round, and that was to 333 different businesses. As a corporation, we did almost $3 billion in PPP loan processing. That was about 18,750 loans. And what it all boiled down to is that actually helped about 335,000 employees for our customers. So again, we are a conduit between the SBA and the business owner. But the service and that we provided was something that was certainly fulfilling for myself and the rest of the Synovus team that worked on that. We are seeing volume down on the second round. I think the pool of applicants has shrunk due to some of the items that were laid out by Tom, Andre, and Suzanne. So again, we're not seeing the intense mass applications that we saw first round. First round was a bit, I think Heather Jones is our Synovus SBA partner. She and I work together and talk almost daily. Heather and I could probably write a book with that first round. Tom, I think we all could. We described it from the local bank perspective, that we were building an airplane while we were flying it. This round is more organized. We allocated internal resources towards that first round. The second round, we have a third party that's helping us out to help streamline and make the process more customer friendly. We have a portal on our synovus.com website, very customer friendly, walks you through a lot of the information you've already heard, but also gives additional information just to help get everything buttoned up before you hit apply in the process. So, but I think the message that I really want to relay is that everyone here, whether you bank with Synovus or you bank with any other local bank in the market, there is local support for you here. So if you're confused in any way about the process or what you've seen today, we are certainly happy to help answer questions. And I usually don't lift up my competitors, but I know that they are too. So, but again, we're here for you. We have tried to make the process as customer friendly as possible. Again, it's not perfect, but it's better than the first round. Hopefully we don't have a third round, or I guess we'll have it perfected by then. But again, we are Carmichael Road, Taylor Road, Prattville. Easy to contact anybody within our bank, or just drop in and we'll sit down with you and walk through the process personally if you like. And what I was going to get Heather to maybe just touch on is she's seeing it. Heather's working some very long hours, so I appreciate her carving out a little time for us today. But Heather's seeing it from a corporate perspective. I'm seeing it from a Montgomery market perspective. So I was just going to get her to hit on maybe a couple of the things, trends, loan sizes, things like that she's seeing from an overall footprint.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I will say that trend-wise, some of the things that Mark mentioned, the first time we were flying while we were building the airplane, that's a good example. But this time, I think we have a good process. The portal, I think that a lot of other banks are using too, or, it's making it a little bit more smoother. I will say I'm seeing requests, anywhere from a couple of thousand all the way up. So, sole proprietors, get your Schedule C out. If you have limited employees, you use your, Schedule C and your 941s. The best advice that I can give is before you sit down to fill out that application, whether it's paper or without the documents and it's online, make sure you have already kind of reviewed the application itself so you can read those certifications very clearly, because like they mentioned earlier, you as the owner, you're the one certifying. It is yourself certifying yourself and the company. Also make sure you have, especially if it's your second draw and you're going to a different bank to do your PP or your P3 loan for round 2, make sure you have your original P1 loan number, because they're going to need that if you're going to a separate bank to do that. So that's just kind of some good guidance. I think that once you sit down and go through the application process, I believe that it's a lot smoother this time. Everybody kind of knows what to expect, but the more of your information that you have when you sit down in front of your computer to do the application, the smoother it's going to be for you. The process, I'm seeing them go through. I'm kind of involved in 2 different steps in the process here at Synovus. Everything seems to be moving smoothly, through the process right now. A lot of people seem to have, already done their research. They realize that they've got the 25% reduction and they, have the right amount of employees and things like that. But the best, like I said, and get your, I will say, I know these guys with the SBA and the USDA or the SBDC, you guys can, they're definitely very helpful. I'm helpful. Mark knows how to find me. I'm located in Birmingham, but I cover all of Alabama for Synovus and SBA. So I'm available too if you guys have any questions or if there's anything I can help with.
So Phil, I think that's a wrap for the Synovus team, and so kick it back over to you.
Great. Well, thank you to all the panelists. We are going to open it up for questions now, and I see there's some in the chat. So what I'm going to do is start to just read those out loud. And for our panelists, whoever feels they have any information to that specific question, feel free to chime in. And we'll do that for about 10 minutes or so. If we don't read your question and you want to ask it out loud, feel free to do that as well. But yeah, we'll do that for about 10 minutes and then turn it over to Anna at the chamber to kind of wrap everything up. But yeah, first question we have here, how long after applying through the portal until you get an answer?
That's probably Heather, me and you, since I mentioned the word portal. So I'm gonna, I think I'll let Heather follow me up, but it's really dependent upon whether the right information is entered on the front end. That's key. Again, I think our portal has done a good job of making sure that's laid out in front of you what's needed, and that it's buttoned up before you hit that button to go. Now, once it gets into the portal and all the information is entered correctly, that's where we're seeing some differing times right now. I think there's still processes getting worked on probably the bank portals as well as the SBA portal. So it's kind of a living process at the moment. But so I don't think that you can really pin down you'll hear in 3 days, you'll hear in 5 days. But Heather, let me get you to add a little more color, since you guys are probably starting to get feedback from some of those first applications that were put in.
Yeah, and so basically, when you go through the portal or you put your application and you go through the documentation and then you sign, then you also have to upload your documents that are verifying. You got to verify that you were in business by February 15th, 2020. And then you also have to verify the reduction. And then you have to, show what your payroll was to help with those calculations. So sometimes the one thing that I'm seeing that's kind of stalling the process a little bit is the right documentation is not getting downloaded at the very beginning. So the next phase is underwriting. And so with the underwriting, that's where they go in and they're testing it. They're, looking at everything. So we are, kind of slowly moving through the process. the key to that is the most information that you can put on the front end. That's probably the smoother it'll run through the system. And I'm seeing them move all the way through at this point, but I don't really have a timeline. If it's a smaller loan, if there's not as much to review versus if it's a larger loan. At this point, I really don't have a good timeline on how long it's taken.
Another question we have here is, if money was left on the table on the first draw due to changing guidelines, can you ask for that money now in either in the second draw or an amended first draw?
Yes. And the bank, Heather, you may want to say how that is being handled on the lender side. But yes, you can go in and ask for an amendment of your first draw PPP. Heather, do you have any guidance on how y'all are handling that on your end?
I do not. I can definitely dig into that. I am more involved in the second round on P3 and a little bit of the first draw this time around. So I do think we have some special people that are handling that. I do not know the process.
But it would be through the lender that you got the first draw.
Definitely.
Okay.
All right. Another question we have here. I have some clients that have had a denial because of a prior arrest box. What about businesses that have owners with a prior record but have been in business for some time? Is there help for them?
Yeah, there has been a relaxation of some of the requirements that were in effect previously. So all those guidelines are on the website at sba.gov/PPP. So the best thing to do would be to go through there and then make sure that you understand what the differences are and make sure that the application is filled out completely. But some of those requirements have been relaxed from last time.
Another question, we have already received an EIDL loan. Can we apply for another one? And a follow-up question to that was, if I understood correctly, and the follow-up question was, if I understood correctly, we will not have an opportunity to apply for another EIDL advance. The SBA will contact us if they find we are eligible.
Okay, and this is Suzanne Darden. I will address that. Yeah, the advance, SBA will, they will get out to you. They will send you a notification if you're eligible for any more advance money. As far as the EIDL is concerned, if you've applied one time, that's all they're allowing at this time is that application. We have heard that sometime in the future, let's say you applied for EIDL, you used up the money under $150,000 that you were lent. There may be a time in the near future where they will allow you to go back in and apply again for additional monies, but not at this time.
All right, one other question from the chat, and then if anyone who hasn't chatted there wants to speak up and ask. We are getting questions about how forgiveness is determined. And a specific question on that was, is the initial $10,000 still forgiven for the P3 or EIDL if a company is requesting the P3 or EIDL for the first time?
Okay, I'll take that one. If they are requesting the first draw PPP, the EIDL advance that they received up to $10,000 will not be taken off the top of the forgiveness. So they have the ability to get full forgiveness for the EIDL advance. That's done. Then they will have the ability to get full forgiveness for the first draw PPP based on them spending those PPP funds on eligible expenses. Again, 60% on eligible payroll expenses and the remaining 40% on other expenses that are spelled out. Now, that is a change, and we are so thrilled because now you will not have to be concerned about the EIDL advance being taken off the top of your forgiveness of the first draw PPP. There were some clients that went in and got forgiveness for their first draw of the PPP prior to this new Economic Aid Act being signed in on December 27th. They are to go back to their lenders, and their lenders will work with them to get back that money and close out that loan that the advance was taken off of. Okay.
All right, one other question that came in addition to the loan options that have been discussed, are there any other options available? And of course, we'll let the panelists answer that, but I would recommend checking out the SBA website for other loan programs in addition to these COVID specific ones.
Yeah, this is Tom. That's right. The P3 and the EIDL are the two biggest programs. But if you go to sba.gov/COVID-19, there will be other options on there that may be available. And of course, the other SBA loan programs are still in effect. The regular 7A loans, the 504 loans that you get through a certified development company, and micro loans that you get through licensed micro lenders. We have, I think, 3 or 4 micro lenders in Alabama. And a micro loan is typically up to $50,000.
All right, and anyone who didn't put any questions in the chat, anything that you want to ask out loud? All right, well, hearing none, Anna, if we can go ahead and turn it over to you. And I figure you will mention it, the Recover Together, and we can also drop that phone number and information in the chat. But Anna, the floor is yours. And also just take this moment to thank everyone at the Chamber who did help out with putting this call together. Technology in this day of COVID is challenging, but they've put together a great format here. So thank you all. And of course, thank you to the panelists. But Anna, the floor is yours.
I want to thank everyone, all our panelists, for being here today. And I particularly want to thank Philip, your team, and the mayor's office, Mayor Reed. Your support of small business and just leadership on this and many fronts to help our small minority business community is tremendous. It means a lot to have that pro-business mindset at City Hall. So thank you so much. When the city and the county, Mayor Reed pulled together a COVID economic impact task force early on when COVID hit our community. And one of the first things that came up in the first meeting, and Stephen Reed was the first one to say, what can we do for our small businesses? And at Mayor Reed's leadership, we pulled together some community leaders, and many of you on this panel, Andrea at Alabama State with SBDC, we have worked so closely with you and so thankful for your leadership and partnership. We continue to do that. And what I'd like to mention, as Philip said, the phone number, and I have to have glasses to see it, but we formed out of that initiative and out of the task force that the mayor pulled together with the city, the county, and a lot of you, we formed something called the Small Business Hub. And Hub is exactly what you think. It's a clearinghouse, it's a central convening point, but it also stands for helping unite business and aligning our small and minority business community. So that clearinghouse basically has a number attached to it that any of our small businesses in our community can call at any time. It will get answered. And we're getting a lot of calls still from that number. It's 226-7529. That's 334-226-7529. We have that on our MontgomeryChamber.com website. I believe the city's got that up as well. And that's our small business relief Recover Together effort. And what I'd like to see us partner with now is, particularly with you guys giving so much good information today, a lot of you talked about the technical pieces of these applications. And sometimes we find that our really small minority businesses don't have their documents together, or they need some accounting help, or they may not be able to put their hands on the forms that are required so that Mark and Heather and their team can do what they need to do to get it into the SBA hopper. So we may find ourselves, like we did early on in the pandemic with the first round, pulling together some resource panels that we can do either via Zoom or perhaps some one-on-ones down at our Small Business Resource Center to do some counseling. And out of this also, we've seen the demand and need for some of these I call it business infrastructure that our small and micro businesses need. So looking forward to partnering with all of you guys on providing some of those essential resources that help those small minority businesses get back on their feet. Because as much as we want to help them through the crisis, we want to really be there for them when they get back on their feet. So again, I just thank all of you, and I thank Mayor Reed. Thank you so much for your leadership and support.
You're welcome. Anna, thank you so much as well for your support as well on this, and everything that the Chamber's been doing and helping us and helping those small businesses, both members and non-members. So we appreciate that. It's very important. I just want to conclude by thanking everyone, all the panelists for bringing their expertise to this. This is being recorded, so will be available for anyone to pull back up. Please reach out to any of the panelists if you have any further questions, and let people know where they can get some of this information. But please share it as far and wide as you can. Thank you, everybody. Remember to stay safe, and we look forward to working with you again. Take care and have a great weekend.